a woman and her partner in an apartment. He's trying to sell the apartment to her while she pretends to be the buyer. He gives her a tour of the space, telling her the pros and cons of renting the apartment while trying to seduce her at the same time. She, on the other hand, welcomes her partner's advances. The couple ends up doing it before the actual buyers arrive. The actual buyers show up just in time as the woman is leaving the apartment. They express their surprise at seeing another person there since they were told that they were going to be the first ones to see the house. The agent then assures them that he can move them up the list as a favor for them. The woman earlier is Sophia and works at a local clothing shop. She asks her coworker about a possible internship that she's aiming to get, but her coworker tells her not to get her hopes up. Not long after, she gets a call from the company informing her that she has been considered for the internship position. Thankful, Sophia heads to the church after her shift, saying a prayer of gratitude for the new job. The next day, Sophia heads to the company for an interview with Beatriz, the CEO of the company. Beatriz is very charismatic and the kind of woman who knows what she wants and gets it. Suddenly, the phone rings in the middle of the interview and Beatriz asks Sophia to answer it herself. While Sophia is talking to the client on the phone, Beatriz observes her and is clearly amazed by Sophia's ability to adjust immediately. Sophia ends up getting the job and will be starting the next day as an assistant. Later that night, Sophia gets home and tells her partner about her day. She expresses her admiration for her new boss who was able to build her company out of nothing. She wishes to succeed like that someday. The next day, Sophia starts her first day at the job accompanying Beatriz to a meeting. Days pass by and Sophia is adjusting to the job perfectly and soon develops a routine at the office. After a late night at the office, Sophia comes home to her partner already asleep. Meanwhile, her boss Beatriz welcomes a man she met on a dating app inside her hotel room. She offers him a drink but ends up kicking the man out of her room after she feels discomfort at the man's advances. At home, Sophia takes a pregnancy test and finds out that she's pregnant. She postponed telling her partner as she wasn't feeling well. Beatriz, on the other hand, is in her monthly appointment with her doctor. She expresses her desire to get pregnant but the odds are seemingly against her. At home, Beatriz contemplates her situation but is reminded of a traumatic experience she had when she was younger. The next day, Beatriz is presented with a new collection for her clothing line but she's discontented with the results. Sophia offers to help adjust the dress. The designer protests but Beatriz tells him that she likes what Sophia has done. After work, Sophia and her partner naturally eat dinner at a local diner. When Sophia asks him about his plans of building his own brokerage company, he expresses his desire to move to Colombia. He says that life would be easier there compared to Madrid but Sophia disagrees, not wanting to go back to Colombia. She tells him that she loves her current job and would not trade it for a simple life in Colombia. Nacho mentions that if they stay in Madrid it would be difficult for them to have a family since their salaries will not be able to cover the cost of having a child. Sophia is upset to hear this, knowing that she's pregnant. Still, she doesn't tell Nacho, afraid of what his reaction might be. The next day, Sophia prepares to leave for Barcelona to meet some investors. The trip allows Sophia and Beatriz's relationship to develop. Hardworking and strong-willed, Beatriz sees her younger self in Sophia. This leads her to give Sophia a permanent position in the company. Because of this, Sophia decides to give up the child. The decision takes a toll on her and she ends up having a breakdown in the office while talking to Beatriz. Her boss tries to calm her down and Sophia tells her why she's upset. Beatriz tells her that her pregnancy could pose as a roadblock for her success in the future as her career is just taking off and Sophia agrees. At home, Beatriz is having dinner with her friends but she is distracted. She announces suddenly that she's planning on adopting Sophia's child since the younger woman doesn't want it. Knowing how much she wants to have a child, her friends express their support and Beatriz is elated. Later that night, Beatriz calls Sophia to tell her that she's willing to help. At the doctor's office the next day, Beatriz had Sophia check for any complications but found none. Overwhelmed, Sophia walks out. Finding Sophia at the office later that day, Beatriz says that while Sophia isn't ready to become a mother, she is and has been for a couple of years. Beatriz then carefully expresses her desire to adopt the child, explaining that she will be covering for any financial needs during the pregnancy and that the child will be well taken care of. Sophia reluctantly agrees. This leads them to meet with Beatriz's lawyer and doctor at her home. Beatriz's lawyer explains the legal procedure to Sophia. In exchange for her child, Beatriz agrees to pay Sophia double the amount of her standard salary as well as a secure position at the company. The pregnancy must be kept secret since it is against the law for the mother to know who's adopting her child. To make sure that no one would find out about their agreement, Beatriz asks Sophia to live with her for the duration of her pregnancy. Sophia agrees and they sign a contract. At home, Sophia tells Nacho that she will be going to London for 6 months to accompany Beatriz on a project there. At first, Nacho protests, saying that 6 months is too long but later agrees when Sophia tells him that when she comes back, she will be promoted to senior manager, earning double her current salary. The next day, Beatriz drives Sophia to her mansion in the countryside. After Beatriz leaves for work, Sophia explores the property, marveling at the beauty of her new home for the next 6 months. Months pass by and Sophia's belly had grown. Beatriz goes in and out of the house, clearly busy with work. Sophia, on the other hand, spends her days reading books and exercising. One day, while in the living room, she notices a few cameras inside the house. When Beatrice arrives home, Sophia asks about the cameras and expresses her discomfort with the idea that someone might be watching her every move. Beatrice explains that it's only for security reasons, especially since Sophia is left alone in the house all day. Despite this, Sophia asks Beatrice to remove the cameras and she agrees. The next day, Beatrice turns off all the cameras inside the house, honoring Sophia's request. At home, Sophia is growing restless. She couldn't sleep and was constantly irritated with her virtual training coach. Realizing that she lost her phone, she looks for it everywhere but with no luck. This leads her to become even more restless. She tells Beatrice this and her boss arranges for her to get a brand new phone. The next day, while Beatrice is gone for work, Sophia asks the housekeeper for a key to the upstairs room. The housekeeper agrees and Sophia discovers that it's a nursery room that Beatrice had been preparing for the arrival of the baby. Sophia looks around the room to see that it's complete with amenities. She opens the cabinet and discovers a bunch of clothes embroidered with the name Carlos, a name that Beatrice has decided to give the baby. At night, Sophia often caresses her belly but stops as soon as she catches herself, not allowing herself to get attached to the child. For her birthday, Beatrice gives her a puppy which Sophia named Max. The government visits the crash site and manages to retrieve a surviving hand from the Mandashanes, taking it to their research lab. In a recovery chamber, scientists reconstruct the hand's DNA back to life. After a quick reconstruction process, the chamber reveals a naked woman lying on the table. The woman wakes up and is shocked to find herself trapped inside the glass chamber. She cries out in an ancient language. One of the generals approaches her and taps on the glass, taunting her. The woman breaks her hand through the glass and knocks out the general and takes his multi-pass card. The alert bells start ringing and she finds herself trapped in the room. Seeking the only way out, she breaks through the walls and escapes through the ventilation system. She soon finds herself at the top of the building and jumps to escape the police. She lands right on Corbin's flying cap. Corbin checks on his impromptu passenger and feels instantly attracted and intrigued by her. Sensing her vulnerability, he decides to protect her from the pursuing police officers. They race through the streets with 3 police cars chasing them. Corbin takes a sharp turn and leads them through a rundown part of the city, losing one car to a delivery truck. They get back on the main street and a horde of police cars fire at them. Corbin takes them down to the innermost streets and through the fog, disappearing from the police's radar. The woman tells him to take her to a priest named Vito Cornelius and he manages to track him down to his apartment. Cornelius sees the elemental marks on her arm and faints when he realizes that she's the 5th element. Now wanting to waste time, he gets his assistant, David, and they prepare to meet the 5th element. Meanwhile, Corbin glances at the sleeping woman and kisses her, only to be met by her gun. He apologizes, calms her down, and learns that her name is Lulu. Cornelius and David arrive to give her the key to the tomb and usher Corbin outside. He goes back to his apartment and calls Finger, apologizing that he didn't stick to their meetup and telling him about Lulu. Meanwhile, Lulu learns 5,000 years worth of history through Cornelius's computer and tells him that the stones have been stolen, but she knows exactly where they are. At the same moment, Zorg meets up with the Mangalores and their leader, Acne. Zorg trades the stones for new weapons, but when Aknat hands over the box, it's empty. Cornelius then learns that the Mandashawans gave the stones to someone they could trust and Lulu was supposed to contact this person. They track the person down to a hotel called Floston Paradise in Planet Floston. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door and a group of men appear and take Cornelius to Zorg. He threatens the priest to tell him where the stones are but he doesn't give in. As he explains his plan to Cornelius, he chokes on a piece of cherry and Cornelius saves him. Zorg spares his life and lets him go and orders his henchmen to track down the stones. His men intercept a meeting with the president and learn that the Mandashawans gave the stones to a diva named Plavalaguna who will be performing at a charity ball at the Floston Paradise. The president agrees and asks the military to hire their best agent, which happens to be Corbin Dallas. The soldiers manage to track down Corbin to his apartment. He finds out that the military rigged a raffle contest to let him win 2 tickets to Floston Paradise so that he could go undercover and retrieve the stones discreetly. Just then, Lulu appears outside his door and Corbin manages to convince the soldiers to hide in his fridge by lying that Lulu is his girlfriend whom he's planning to marry but hates the military. He lets Lulu in and Cornelius threatens him with a gun and asks for the tickets. Just then, the police swarm the building looking for Corbin. He hides Lulu and the priest in his apartment and the police arrest the wrong guy. The Mangalores arrive and intercept the arrest, snatching the body bag and not knowing that they took the wrong guy too. Once the coast is clear, Corbin takes Lulu and Cornelius out of hiding. The priest knocks momentarily and steals the tickets. When Corbin regains consciousness, he accepts the mission. Lulu and Cornelius arrive at the airport with David who acquired fake passports. Just as they're about to check in, Corbin arrives and takes David's place. David runs to Cornelius and tells him what happened. The priest instructs him with the key to prepare the temple while he goes after the other 2. The Mangalores arrive disguised as Corbin and Lulu, but they are caught up with security quickly. Corbin is then whisked away by a flight attendant to meet the flamboyant radio talk show host, Ruby Rod. Cornelius sneaks into the restricted area and manages to get into the plane. Meanwhile, Zorg is called by Mr. Shadow, the dark entity existing within the Great Evil. Mr. Shadow threatens Zorg to retrieve the stones or else. In Planet Floston, the rocket plane arrives at the hotel. Corbin wakes up and finds Lulu missing. Lulu has managed to track down Plava Laguna. The diva senses Lulu hiding in the hallway and sends out one of her assistants. The assistant tells Lulu to meet Plava Laguna after the concert. On the other hand, Corbin is dragged away by Ruby, giving him a tour of the hotel and then of the opera house as he goes on and on in his live radio show. The concert starts as Zorg arrives. The curtains reveal Plava Laguna to be a blue-skinned alien humanoid opera singer. As she sings her piece, the Mangalores invade the diva's room and take the box. Lulu intervenes and takes out the Mangalore group.